and the Arts Council of Greater New Haven. I am very excited on this Friday to be welcoming S.C. Murray. Sorry about that. I did not have enough coffee this morning. To be welcoming S.C. Murray, who is the creative director and Renaissance woman behind Sweet to the Soul, Brantford's only holistic cultural arts center. We're going to jump in, talk about what Sweet to the Soul is, and some events that are coming up. So, Essie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I will say, when this press release, I get a bunch of press releases that are not exciting to me. And when this press release popped into my inbox, I said, I want to know, I want to know everything. And so I'm so glad that you responded to my email. And I would love to know about, I want to know more about you. But first, I want to know more about what Sweet to the Soul is and what folks can expect from this in the region.
Yes, absolutely. Again, thank you so much for having me. I was super excited that you responded so quickly to the press release. So thank you again for having us. Sweet to the Soul is Brantford's newest holistic cultural arts center, and we're located at 249 West Main Street, Suite 9, and we're at the back of the Lakeview Shopping Center. Goodwill is really huge. So if you know the parking lot on West Main where the Goodwill is, we're all the way in the back. So make sure when you pull in, you drive all the way to the back to Suite 9. But we are excited to be here for the community, a place, a secret place where you can just come and paint and draw and color or write, get acting classes. I am a playwright and off-Broadway producer. You can get consultation here. It's just a really great place to just take a pause and just reflect and have some good times. So that's Sweet to the Soul in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I want to know sort of the genesis of this, and of course, where the name. I'm really interested in names, so I always love hearing about where names come from. But I want to know about you, so let's get in the Wayback Machine and tell me about like what for you, what the creative catalyst was. Was it baby Essie with a paintbrush or a pen? and what got us to this moment? And I love stories, so let's get into story.
Nice. Well, I like to say that I've been acting since in utero. So I really do think that's where it all began. So I would definitely say that Sweet to the Soul was established 40 years ago, because I turned 40 this year. I'm 81, baby. Shout out to all the 80s babies listening. So that's definitely where it started. I am from the Bronx. I was raised in the Bronx, and then I left New York for college in 1999. So I'm class of 99, and I graduated from Clark Atlanta University and in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was 2003. And then in 2005, I started producing for myself, because I was always enamored with love stories. And so I made a conscious decision that I would start writing love stories that I wanted to see. And then I started writing them, and nobody really wanted to back them. So I started producing them myself. So that's kind of like how my journey of writing, directing, and having this affinity for love stories and bringing it to the community in that way.
And I want to ask you also about growing up in New York, in the Bronx, in the 1980s. Immediately, my mind goes to the fact that hip hop was still very much evolving in the.
As if it wasn't for the Bronx,
right?
So you're trying to get me started.
So tell me about did you find that there was a sort of a propulsive soundtrack to your childhood? Also, I feel like growing up in New York, I did not grow up in New York. I grew up in the Midwest. So way less exciting. Think like fields and old buildings that are empty and lots of bad casseroles. But 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 I think of growing up in New York as an experience that probably for a lot of folks is unlike any other experience that young kids in the US have. So were arts very much a part of your childhood?
It was, and the 80s in some instances was a very, very dark place, because crack and cocaine had inundated our communities. And so it was extremely important at that time for the arts to take a stand and realize the importance and what the difference high quality art programs would make in our communities during that time. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of that at the very beginning. And I also had parents that were very strategic in their exposure to the arts world. So I can remember my mom and my dad both taking me to both Broadway and off Broadway plays as early as 4 and 5 years old. So I was very clear about how exciting it was for me to experience live theater. And I was also very clear about how I had a call on my life that I had to be a part of it. I had to be a part of it. So from my first performance was in kindergarten. Was in first grade. That was like my big deal. I played a teacher. And then we got to do some dancing at the end of that. And in second grade, I was able to um, do a talent show. And I was obsessed with the classic Dirty Dancing. And one of the soundtracks was Be My Little Baby, one of the
Yes.
soundtrack songs. And one of my classmates, I asked her if she would please sing backup, but I was very clear that I needed her to just say, Be My Little Baby. I didn't need her to do any verses. I just need her to just sing the chorus. So that was in second grade.
So this is like what's second grade? Like 7 years old? I'm so bad.
Yeah,
7 years
seven,
old,
seven,
8 years
eight,
old?
7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
7, 8 years old.
So this really is like little SC being like, I know, like you were in charge.
It's insane. I came from that era when parents got together with their friends and shooed the children away because children were to be seen and not heard. So when they would shoo us away, we went into the room to start writing and learning choreography because we had to do a performance before our parents were ready to leave. So it was like, we had to really play on demand. Like we didn't have a whole lot of time. And when they say, all right, we're ready to leave, we had to make sure that our show was up and ready so that they could see it before, everyone, left for the evening. So, and that was at 3 and 4 years old, like legit, you know, choreographing, writing new songs. It's so hilarious when you look back, you just are who you are.
Yeah. And did you know in college also I feel like some students say, okay, I want to be an artist, or some young people say I want to be an artist. And some parents are like, as long as I'm not paying your bill. I mean, this is what happened to me. I said I want to be a writer, and my parents were like, listen, that's okay. We're not going to pay your bills, but if you figure it out, we love you. Or did you have folks who, because I also know people who come home and they say, I want to be an artist, and their parents are like, nope.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
So when I graduated out of high school, I went off to college thinking that I was going to do theater because I was so immersed in it during high school. But then I wind up doing radio, television, and film. So that became my major. And then when I left, I just thought that when I left college, like this gold street, like the streets were going to be paved with gold and opportunities were just going to start coming, and it just didn't happen. So I mean, I just started doing odd jobs, did a little bit of the depression. I just was like, what is going on? So a lot of reality check, and mom just kind of coaching me like, baby, it's gonna be all right, you're gonna find your way. But I was going through. And then it wasn't until I had been writing for a long time and still not, getting a quote unquote break that I thought that I should have. So when people would ask me, what do you do? I would be like, I'm a writer. They be like, you're a what? Mhm. What do you what? Oh, I'm a writer. So I like to say now I'm a writer, that's a big thing for me because just 5 years ago, it was like, uh, I would be I would be at like working at I don't want to say regular jobs. It was an honest living, but working fast food, and they would be like, why are you here? Why are you here? So I got a lot of that. And then I realized that faith was missing in a lot of the equation. And it didn't matter how low I got or how the reality that the resources weren't available. I had to still find a way. And then I found that human resources will always be your best resources. So then I started to navigate through my creative process with finding people, identifying people that were as crazy as I was, and believing that we could make a difference with our talents and our gifts. And then we would come together and make beautiful things, beautiful works of art. And then I looked up and I'm like, oh my gosh, now we're off Broadway. So
Yeah. And also tell me why you were attracted to love. Oh, I love a good love story. I think some people are maybe pushed off of love story, and some artists write about really traumatic stuff, and that's okay. That's good for them. But I like a good love story.
yeah, I am a woman of faith. And the universe, my Lord, my God has just been really good to me. And not because I've been so good, but just because the Lord is really good. So it's like, okay. Because I thought that, I was going to write different things. And then I kept feeling in my spirit, love, write about love. So it was really something that I felt like unction to do, not necessarily like, oh, I think love story is a really cool idea. And my grandmother, who helped my mom raise me, she was the president of the Tenant Patrol and the projects. And my mom, she's a retired correction officer now, and she would do a lot of doubles. So I spent a lot of time with grandma. And, grandma would sit with the other senior citizens, in the hallways. And there'd be a lot of characters would come in and out the door. A lot of characters would sit with grandma on the tenant patrol. So I mean, and this is from, before I could walk. This was storytelling was, the fabric of my childhood. I can remember watching stories with my grandmother, and when she would guess what would happen next on a Perry Mason or a Murder She Wrote, she would say, I wrote the script. I wrote the script, and not knowing that I would really one day be the writer of scripts. So I thought that was fascinating.
And I think that that's true for a lot of playwrights. Maybe most famously, August Wilson talked about how the characters in his American Century cycle were people he met in Pittsburgh, people he heard in coffee shops, janitors that he met while he was doing his work. And so I think that's true. So also, how do we make the jump from off Broadway? Did you always know that something like Sweet to the Soul was what you wanted? Did you always know that it was sort of a like a seed in your heart or in your gut that you wanted to give birth to?
Yes, yes. A safe place
Mm,
for us creatives where we could be edified and we could be celebrated. in a very intimate environment and know that it was okay, that we were different, um, that it's okay that you have a story in your belly that you need somebody to help you give birth to, or you're a rock star in your everyday life, but you've never taken an acting class, and no one ever knew that you really wanted to be an actor in some way, shape, or form. And then you can come here and be that, if just for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and get that kind of taste and express yourself in a very creative way in a judgment free zone where there's a lot of support. Yeah, that's always been inside of me to have that space. And I have it now.
And so I know that you have also done collaborative work with big studios like DreamWorks and Warner Brothers and Lionsgate and Telemundo,
Well,
which
those were actually my actors that came through me, and then they went off and did those works. So I wasn't able to. I've never worked with them, but I have been. My actors have gone on to work with those studios.
I would say you have through those actors. Because, no, really, because we think like
You are officially my girl.
yeah, sometimes people see they don't see the mentor. There's a mentor, there's a choir director, there's a teacher behind, behind every actor or like 20. Um, and for you, why was mentoring folks so important? Because not all actors, not all creatives are teachers.
I started out as an actor. So I know what made me feel good. I know what inspired me. The theater arts saved my life. Again, like I said, the 80s was a very dark place for some of us. I lived in the hood, and there was a lot of great people in the hood, but crime was real. And the arts was my escape. And I took theater very serious. My first big role in the seventh grade, shout out to my alma mater, Frederick Douglass Academy on 149th and 7th Avenue in Harlem, up in Harlem. um, my breakout role, I played a middle-aged pastor doing a sermon at a funeral. And I did that in the seventh grade, and I was 14. And I remember going to actual funerals to do research. No one told me to. I just knew to do it. You know what I mean? So um, I love the power of theater. And I love to be able to tell relevant stories. So it's not even that they're just love stories, they're very relevant. And I think they tell another narrative, not a knock to anyone else, but it's a very current. Now, I do sci-fi and I do fantasy as well, centered around a love story, but I really like my modern day love stories because they really speak in a very honest way. And they give a voice to our brown brothers and show them in another light that is not necessarily mainstream. And I think that the men that work with me really enjoy that aspect of it because according to them, there aren't a lot of scripts that they're able to perform in that have that real on time relevant message that gives an honest voice to what's going on in their hearts on a day to day.
Yeah. And I would love to hear a little bit more about how this has evolved, how the teaching practice has evolved really into a small business, because I know that's not easy. I hear from small business owners all the time that even before the last year and a half, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to run a small creative business because a lot of people think that the arts are a luxury that only some people can afford. Um, so I think there's that. And then also, why was Brantford, this specific spot in Brantford, the right home, at this time, at this juncture?
I would be remiss if I didn't speak again to the fact of being a woman of faith. Um, and yes, we all went through something. Our generation has that was very new to us, and fear and doubt and just all of our dreams, especially us artists that depend on live audiences. So my first step was I have a baby project that I've been working on since 2014. It premiered in 2014, and it's called The Kingdom of Kingston. And it premiered off Broadway. It's been on off Broadway. It's been in Atlanta. It's been in New York. So my first step with that, once everything shut down, was write a book about the Kingdom of Kingston, and don't put anything in it that someone has seen before. If they've seen the play, write the book, tell the story before that story. So that allowed me to stretch in a way that I didn't even really think possible or even relevant. So I wrote a novel of the Kingdom of Kingston. And then next, I just was so tired of not having a place to rehearse my cast and trying to beg and borrow. And, I mean, you can speak to my former castmates. I mean, we've rehearsed outside of studios, in hallways, because we only have 45 minutes worth of space inside. I mean, just so I was like, enough is enough. And I was in Branford one morning, and I said, Lord, why am I in Branford? Because I knew I had to find an office space. That's what I was in search for. I was like, I need an office space. I want to create. I need just a quiet space. I'll even take 900 square feet, just someplace to create in. And I'm also a homeschooler and a mama bear of 5. So I wanted a space where I could do my work and not have to worry about, where my children were, and I needed them to be comfortable, and I need to be comfortable to create. So I was looking around in Hampton, I was looking around in New Haven, and I hadn't found anything, but then I was in Branford. And I said, why am I in Branford? And I looked at my GPS and I typed in theater. And then I saw Legacy Theater. And it was only 4 minutes from where I was. And so I drove there and my jaw dropped. I said, oh my God, a theater next to the ocean? I've got to think bigger. I've got to think bigger. I mean, it doesn't cost to have faith. You know what I mean? To grow your faith, to believe more. So I said, okay, Lord, what are you showing me? So then I went searching for properties in Branford, and my space happened to be that space. There was only one left. I was able to meet the owner, and the rest is history.
Yeah. I wanted to shout out very quickly the Legacy Theater because it's beautiful.
Oh, it is gorgeous.
It's now still a relatively new building, newly renovated building.
I'm just renovated.
Has this really interesting history as this, I don't want to say dinky little puppet theater, because I actually love that we live in a state that had a thriving puppet theater. Not everyone can say that. But the new building is this sort of work of soaring architecture, and yes, is right close to the water, which is pretty amazing to think about. Not next to like a big parking lot, which I feel like, fortunately or unfortunately, is where you see a lot of theaters. Um, so you find this space and you have a lot of fall programming already scheduled, which in some ways is also a leap of faith, because this pandemic, like, we're still in it, right? I did not think 18 months ago, 19 months ago, I don't even know how long it's been, that we would still be in it, but we're still in it. So tell me about some of the innovative programming that you have. I love that it is extremely intergenerational.
Yes. So shout out to New Haven Cultural Fund, Arts Council of Greater New Haven, and the City of New Haven Arts, Culture, and Tourism that gave me a grant, approved my grant for a taste of theater. And that's for our seniors. And it operates virtually and in person if those are comfortable and want to participate in that way. And it just allows them to have a taste of theater with monologues and scene study and just a really good time. So you're right. It is a leap of faith, and I'm being very patient with myself and with Sweet to the Soul. So it's not like, okay, it's got to make money right now. It's got to make. It's not that kind of vibe at all. We also host events, which is really cool, and those that we've been able to host, they've just been really excited about what we're doing. So really taking our time, but making sure that we're still in motion, because it's so. I mean, if it's not one of the things that we say in the hood, if it's not one thing, it's another. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, you're gonna have to make a stand, and say, I'm gonna believe for this. And it might not be as big and grandiose today, but let me start somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with that.
Yeah. And then I know there's also an arts enrichment program for teens, and I would love to hear about that because I think, and well, yeah, I want to start there. I also want to talk more about the space question because I hear that all the time from artists. I hear, we're just looking for a space. And in some ways, it has birthed really beautiful like performances in school playgrounds and parking lots. But on the other hand, you don't want to be out there when it's mid-January and 22 degrees in New England. I don't. Maybe you do. I don't know. Um, but I would love to hear about the teen enrichment programs.
Yes. So I am a mother of a teen. My beautiful baby girl just turned 15. And then I have a preteen who's 12, so she'll be 13 in a few months. And they love collaboration. They love the arts. They love to create. So it's just organically growing a virtual tribe, because I do recognize that teens are being hit really hard, um, with not being able to engage the same way, not having enough real social connections that are beneficial to the mind, body, and spirit. So I just wanted to make sure that I was doing my part in being the change I want to see and not just kind of waiting for somebody else to do it, just trying to do my part. So again, it's centered around scene study, scene analysis, character development, and just really allowing our teens to speak in a very positive way, giving them positive affirmations to declare and decree because it is important, and not being blinded by what is happening, to their psyche during this time, and making sure that we're rising to in whatever way.
And what were some of the things that you were hearing from you? So you mentioned being a loving mama bear to not only a teen, but to five kids. And what were some of the things you were hearing from the young people in your life? Because this year and a half, I think for a lot of people, for a lot of parents, and especially for a lot of women, it has really tested them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing from parents. I've been a homeschooler for 11 years, but I've been hearing from parents that the children are stuck in the phones. And I know that they're in need of, again, a safe place where they can come with their children, drop their children off, and just paint. You know, there's nothing wrong with Sister Plain Jane. I might be SC, but I got a lot of Plain Jane characteristics. It's amazing what a coloring book and some crayons will do to the psyche. It's amazing what sketching will do. It's amazing what just taking the time and just taking a whole bunch of colors and just doing your thing on an easel and a canvas. And this is so easy to do, especially when you're doing it in community, so you're taking something that's very simple, and just putting it in community, and then it becomes a thing, a place of healing. You have children and adults alike healing through the arts. And what more do we need in a time like this? Money is not everyone's issue. Some people have more than they have room for, but they're lacking peace. They're suffering from anxiety. They're yearning for connectivity in an environment that's not superficial and that is supportive and loving. So those are some of the types of things that I, was hearing.
So I want to, and I'm very sorry if folks can hear the leaf blower outside my window, but this is part of being on Zoom. I want to remind listeners, if you've been with us or if you're just joining us, that this is Arts Respond from WNHH Community Radio and the Arts Council of Greater New Haven. I'm Lucy Gellman, and today I am here with S.C. Murray, the founder, creative director, Renaissance woman, mama bear behind Sweet to the Soul, which is now in Brantford, which is very, very exciting. I also want to ask you, SC, about Sunday Fun Days, which I love the name. I know it is, a name. I don't know who was the progenitor of that phrase, but I love it.
Me too.
Yeah, and so I would love to talk about this idea of both getting the word out for you, which probably is beneficial, but also bringing people in. And so, what are Sunday Fun Days all about at Sweet to the Soul?
Yeah, so Sunday Fun Day, Sunday Fun Day, Sunday Fun Day, Sweet to the Soul. I just literally made that up. November 7th, from 2 to 4:30. We want you to come in and paint and listen to music and laugh and enjoy some healthy, yummy snacks. And do not let the fee at all discourage you. Give us a call, and if you got more than 2 children that wants to come and participate, give us a call, 475-254-6288, and we'll make it happen. So Sunday Fun Day, again, is just a creative space for us to just smile and laugh and do like the real normal stuff, like have safe distancing and enjoy company. I mean, it's literally, that's it. Because it's the simple things that are really making the big differences today, in my humble opinion.
And, for you, so first of all, do you ever sleep?
Isn't that funny? I do, actually. I got some good sleep last night.
Oh, good. And then also, you're running around, you're doing all of this, you're keeping everything in the air, you're homeschooling at the same time, which means you're officially and probably other women, other parents who are listening to this, you're an instant hero for a lot of us.
Thank you.
And so how do you practice self-care, and how are you able to maintain your own artistry within this?
I make sure, in terms, I'm gonna do the latter question first. In terms of the artistry, it just comes so natural. And I am a player on demand, so which means like I see the problem and then I'm able to create accordingly. And that's what I do with my scripts. So I'm very unorthodox. I meet my cast first, and then I write my scripts. And then within 4 to 6 weeks, we put it up. That's how it was pre-COVID. And then we put up the productions. In terms of self-care and keeping it 100, I turned 40 June 11th. Yes, please make sure you put that on your calendars. I will be expecting a gift June 11th, 2022. Just putting that out there. So when 40 came, so did all of these amazing revelations. And self-care, or the lack thereof, was one of them. So I am learning like a baby that just came out of utero, learning to latch on. Do you hear me, brothers and sisters? So I'm excited about exploring this journey of self-care. I created a podcast entitled Pressing Pause with S.C. Murray that can be found on Spotify. And it came out organically. It's brand new. And it's just this desire and this need to just press pause on everything and everyone and just breathe. And the episodes are like 5 to 7 minutes long, and we're just breathing. And so, yeah, so I've started my journey of self-care, and I am extremely excited about it. I started a gym membership, and it is amazing. And I've gotten so much clarity by just being more active 3 to 4 days during the week of just mommy time. And it is amazing. And I am low key addicted. And it's literally like me in there for 30 minutes on the 30-minute circuit. And then I'll jump in the massage bed or chair, and then I'm out, and then I'm back in the world, and just seeing how much taking that little bit of time away, I'm growing, like, and understanding things on such a higher vibration. So to answer
Mm.
your question about self-care.
And have you found that around you, because I know some theaters are cautiously starting to open up and it looks different. Theater looks different. Now there are vaccine often requirements, or you have to come with a negative test. There are masking requirements, but people are back, and it can be very emotional for some. But I talked to someone who said, "I cried the first time I came back into a theater." For you, as an artist whose work was coming to different cities before this, are you finding that the world is sort of starting to open up, and that you're navigating that at the same time? Or are you kind of like, I'm going to be rooted in Brantford for a while, I'm going to just focus on this, and then I'm going to look at the world opening up?
New Haven has been really good to me. Haven County is where I am. So um, it's when you've been blowing, around, and then the universe says halt, stop, and allows you to be rooted and grounded and established. So I'm really excited. Like, my vantage point is very different on a lot of things now. So that's why, again, Sweet to the Soul, she's able to have the time she needs to grow, you know. And so she's not being pressured. And you don't even feel that type of energy. One of my prayers was that people enter here and don't want to leave. And that's kind of like the vibe here. Um, so, we're taking it one day at a time. And I'm also a voice actress. So I'm not really looking into doing live theater so much right now. I'm leaning towards the voice acting side of it with podcasting, drama series kind of thing. And then maybe we'll do a little bit of filming. I want to do a little small project before the year's out, just because. But back to New Haven. I'm here. I am officially in the building. I'm here to stay by the grace of my creator. And we're doing some really great things. We have another grant. They told me to keep it on the hush. So you're not going to get me in trouble today. They said just give them a little more time till they put the paperwork out and release it. But it is called The Art of Play, and it is for the Hill community. So I'm extremely excited about that. Extremely excited about that. I realized that in the underserved communities, that there's a huge absence of play.
Mm.
You go into other communities and you see children playing And then you go into the underserved and high quality arts programming. There's just a need for more. Not to no one, just a need for more. And if, if my contribution, can be underwritten, then I'm there and I'm stepping up to plate. So the Art of Play with S.C. Murray is that an opportunity for children in underserved communities to just play. So we're gonna have some chess, we got some drums, we're gonna be doing a little call and response, monologues, some healthy snacks. So if you do wanna to help with any type of donations or sponsorships with any of that, with our creative play, make sure you hit us up. And I definitely wanted to answer the question on where Sweet to the Soul
Yes.
came from. Sweet to the Soul is from a proverb, and it is a dream accomplished is sweet to the soul. So that's where I got Sweet to the Soul from.
I also wanted to return. So we have about 12, I would say 12, 13 minutes left. Harry Droz, who's the man behind the audio controls, will kick me off if I'm naughty and I go over. So that's fine. But I do want to ask about some of the other formative, especially as you're speaking about the Hill. I can't help thinking about the Boys and Girls Club, but then also the building that is now recognized as the Barbell in the Hill neighborhood that was so beloved for after school and extracurricular programming for kids in the 80s and into the 90s, and I think the early aughts, that now is just standing as an abandoned building. For you, what were some of those some of those places you mentioned? Your school, I think for a lot of kids, school becomes an artistic and creative refuge. Were there other either after school opportunities or, yeah?
I was just afforded such an amazing childhood as it pertains to academia. So my mom had this idea that if she could expose me to a certain type of way that I would need, that it would give me what I need to make me great in the world. So from the time I was in nursery school, I was in private school. So from first grade to sixth grade, I was in private school. And then from 7th to 12, I went to a charter school, big up to the Frederick Douglass Academy. And they were amazing. They were incredible to me. I was able to travel the entire world. I went all around the world with this school, being an ambassador, performing and singing and dancing and acting. I was able to, I knew that I was a writer in 1997 because I was afforded an opportunity to go to Sag Harbor and be coached by esteemed writers and directors. And I wrote a piece, and it won. The piece won, and it was a one act stage play. And then I would go on and do one acts. That's my specialty, one acts. And I would go on and do that for the next 20 years. So being in the theater arts and from 7th through 12th grade, we didn't leave school. I mean, you could find us at school 6:30, 7 o'clock, because we got to get this scene right. And dare not call my teacher's theater a theater class. She made it clear that this was a theater company. We couldn't refer to it as a theater class, and we weren't even actors and actresses. We were all actors. So again, theater arts for sure, hands down, saved my life. And now I'm just trying to pay it back.
Well, in our last couple minutes together, I really want to ask you, how can folks find out more about Sweet to the Soul? How can folks plug in if they haven't already?
Yes, absolutely. Please, you can visit us on our website, and that's www.sweettothesoul.org. That's SWEET, the number 2, THESOUL.org. And all our information is on there.
And I will put a plug because I know you said this earlier, but I gotta help a small business out. So you also rent out the space for events. That's my understanding,
I
right?
do. I'm a
Okay.
host. So you come in and we are extremely affordable, and together, Sweet to the Soul will host your events, and from children's birthday parties, book signings, memorial celebrations, receptions, birthday parties, surprise birthday parties,
Love that.
rehearsals and meetings, of
Right.
course. And
Which
we are, we took over a dance studio that was in operation for over 30 years. So we have the mirrors that everyone loves, we have the dance floor that everyone loves, and we have a stage, and we have surround sound and a mic, a 1 2, a 1 2.
you can do your choreography in there. I really have
Yes.
heard, I mean, that is, I don't know, SC, if this is also something you hear from other artists, but this is the biggest need I hear about is space.
We got it. We have over 1,600 square feet. And you can come in and you can come and do your thing, and you won't be bothered, and you won't be rushed out. And we're having a paint party for Girls Night Out, and that's November 5th from 6 to 9. So where my ladies at? You just got to be 21 and over, and would love to have you come to the pink party. And all that information is on the website. And we're doing something really cool with Groupon, and that launches, I think, next week. So, but that'll be posted as soon as that gets launched. That also will be posted on the website. So, some really yummy classes. You could come for a day with SC and get some really awesome training. You know, not to go and shoot it with the stars, but you could come chill with SC. And whether it's you wanted to start a podcast and just didn't know how to write the script, we help with script writing for your podcast, and leave with your first episode written and recorded. We have acting classes for our teens and our youth, and then acting classes for everybody. We like to say that we service 0 to 99.
I love the intergenerational focus. And then I do have to ask, as someone who is very, very proud of New Haven, who thinks New Haven is largely great in spite of the state of Connecticut and not because of the state of Connecticut, you know, is Branford feeling like a good home? Are you really happy to be there? And yeah.
So I live in New Haven, the city, but I work and play in Branford.
Because New Haven's the best city in Connecticut. I just want to get that on the record.
Put it on the record. Put it on the record. Put it on the record.
And I will say I'm really sorry to hear that you did not find space in New Haven and Hampton, and you are not the first artist from whom I have heard that. Yeah. So, and do you like being in? I think of New Haven as the cultural capital of Connecticut. I'm not apologetic about that. Do you find that the city is a good place for you as an artist, as a creative, as a nurturer and a teacher as well?
New Haven or Branford?
Well, New Haven is your home. I know that you're working in Branford.
Yeah, I love New Haven. Like I said, New Haven has been good to me, and you know, the Hill community and doing this work in the community. So I'm extremely excited about the art of play with SC Murray. Like that's like going to be major. That's going to be major. And we do story time. So there's a lot of information on the website, but we definitely want to do a holiday story time series. We kind of started that last year, so definitely one, and that'll be virtual and in
I
person
love that.
if things allow it to be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we know, the pandemic is still with us, so I feel like we're taking it one day at a time. And I am
and that's
you
okay.
have to. Yeah, that's right. But I am so glad to have taken this day with you, S.C. Murray, founder, creative director, Renaissance woman, mama bear, to 5 children that you homeschool, which just makes my head hurt. I am so like, I honor you. I'm just, I am in awe of parents and especially of mothers. So thank you so much for joining me today on Arts Respond with WNHH and the Arts Council. I cannot thank you enough. Please, 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 if you are listening now, if you are listening later, go to www.sweet, SWEET, to the number 2, thesoul.com. And
.org.
.org. I'm so sorry. I almost
You're
got
fine.
it. I almost got it. And check out the amazing work that S.C. Murray is doing in Branford. And if you happen to be listening from the Office of Economic Development in New Haven, please, y'all, give artists space in New Haven as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.